Okay, we're here at the NRB Conference 2025, and I'm super excited because my good friend Kevin Freeman came by our Truth and Liberty booth. Kevin, thanks for jumping on the
Richard,
show with us.
it is so good to see you, although I'd rather see you in Colorado. But it's nice to see you here in Texas.
I probably look better in Colorado than Texas.
Well, the topography looks better in Colorado.
It
The
certainly
politics,
does.
I kind of like Texas.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. Yeah. Kevin, you got your book out now. It's been out for a while, but it's called Pirate Money. And this is an idea that could just, I want to say it this way, it could really bolster freedom in America. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, the Federal Reserve says they're going to knock 2% out of the dollar every year. They call it inflation. And if it gets below 2%, the Federal Reserve wants to raise it to 2%. If it gets above 2%, like it's been lately, they try and lower it. But if you lose 2% of your money every year to inflation, it doesn't take that long before you don't have much money left. Good example. 100 years ago, if you wanted to buy a new car, a Model T would cost you $280. An Oldsmobile would be $600. An average car was $400. So if your grandfather left you $400, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, right?
Yes.
Grandpa leaves you, he said, I'm not going to buy a new car. I'm going to put it in an envelope and I'm going to leave it to my grandchild. And you open that envelope up today, you would find $20 bills, or you would find 21-ounce gold coins. The $20 bills would barely cover your tires, not the car, maybe
Right.
not even insurance. The 20 ounces of gold would be worth almost $60,000. Could you buy a new car with that?
Barely.
But you can.
Yes,
Not
but
the
you could.
cheapest car,
Right.
not the most expensive car, but
Yes,
you can buy an
you
average new car for about $60,000. Point being, gold holds its value
Right.
over time.
Okay.
So that's what we're talking about, is making gold and silver transactional, where you can spend them as currency.
Well, how do you do this? So pirate money, you're not talking about people walking around with literal gold coins in their pocket, though.
No.
So what's the concept?
Okay, the idea is that most of your money you don't have in your wallet. It's in an account somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And you electronically transfer it. My kids use the Venmo app, right?
Right.
We're talking about creating a Venmo app under state authority that would allow you to spend gold and silver, where you could acquire as little as 1 penny's worth of gold or silver, and you could spend whatever you have in your account using a debit card, or a click to pay online, or write a check, or tap to pay at the grocer. I went to a Publix supermarket in Florida one day, and I bought a bag of oranges, and I paid for it with a fraction of a gram of gold. And it works perfectly. The technology's there. Now all we have to do is have a state adopt this technology in the state. They'll provide trust because it's real gold and the state guarantees it. They'll eliminate capital gains taxes. If you own gold or silver now, you have to pay a tax if it goes up in value. Well, that's not fair. And they won't allow the federal government to take it. So a Venmo app on your existing gold and silver, where you can spend it with a debit card. You can buy as little as a penny's worth of gold or $100 million worth of gold, and you can make an entire personal, optional gold or silver standard under state authority, Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution.
Okay, so the Constitution you just mentioned, what does that have to do with this?
Well, the founders said in the Constitution, I don't want a state to make anything other than gold and silver legal tender in the state. Well, this is making gold and silver legal tender. They have the authority at the state level to do it, and they can protect you from it. So you don't have to worry about the federal government coming and taking it away from you or taxing it.
But we all have in our wallets, right? Like the dollar. It says
Right.
United States, or the federal government does the money, doesn't it? Or what are you saying? States get to?
States can do it as long as they use gold and silver. Federal government prints dollars backed by nothing. They claim they create money. They don't really create money. What they're really doing is just printing it and asking you to believe it. It's an IOU. At some point, it'll be good for something. Well, and right now it's been good for something, but it's worth about 2% less every single year.
President Trump and Elon Musk just talked about, we need to go down to Fort Knox and make sure the gold is still there. What's that all about?
Isn't that a frightening thought, that the President of the United States and the richest man on the planet aren't certain the gold is there? And here's the problem. If you have a gold vault like that, you don't have to have the gold there if everybody believes it's there. And so all our gold gets stored there. What if they lent it out? What if they sold it? What if they did something with it? Now, there are a lot of rumors. It's probably there. I hope it's there. But if it's not there, we got problems. So that...
Well, but the US dollar is not backed by gold anymore.
It's theoretically supposed to have been backed by gold. When they passed the Federal Reserve Act, they said 40% of every dollar you print has to be backed by gold.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be. They took us off the gold standard by executive order in 1971. Didn't change the law, just an executive order.
Yeah. Well, and so now Trump is in office, but under Biden, they were pushing hard for a digital dollar.
Right.
Right. Tell us what that is.
Central Bank Digital Currency, the United States and 140 some other nations are developing that. It is a means to control people by money. They'll admit it. I can show you the clips from the International Monetary Fund, from the World Economic Forum, from the Bank for International Settlements. They always end with this. We would have absolute control over the use of this money and the technology to enforce it. In every one of the, so they could control what you could buy. If they don't like you buying gasoline, they want you to only have an electric car, they could say that your money doesn't buy gasoline. Do you want to buy a gas-powered stove or an electric stove? They'd say only electric stoves. If they said you've eaten too much this week, no McDonald's cheeseburger for you. And they would have it down to the individual level that they could track it with a social credit score to say, Richard, you said things on Truth and Liberty that we don't agree with. Your money's not good for 90 days. We'll put you in timeout. They could use it to control people.
Well, and Kevin, this is not just fantasy, right? China does exactly this thing.
They do. And we were developing, Federal Reserve was developing, and they admitted that it would have this programmable feature to it. And they're pushing hard for it in most major nations of the world. President Trump signed an executive order saying we're not going to do it, no central bank digital currency. Question is, will that stick? If the Congress passed it, it would not stick. And the Federal Reserve says we already have the authority to do it. So this is a very scary world in which we live. The solution is to have state-based optional currency. All right, you say central bank digital currency, I'm using pirate money in Texas, or Florida, or Utah, or Kansas, or Oklahoma, we're in 25 states where the state legislature is advancing legislation to take us back to the Constitution.
Well, and that's an incredibly exciting. So this one world government, this great reset coming out of Davos, the work of China on the social credit score. It's not like it's a world away from us. We've already seen in the United States.
It could be implemented in months.
ESG here is sort of the first iteration of this social credit score. And a lot of people may not have heard about ESG. What is ESG?
ESG is environmental, social, governance, where they're mandating that corporations be good to the environment by their definition. Not clean air and water, but they have to have low carbon, and they have to have, Elon Musk, by the way, produces electric cars. He gets a low ESG score, and ExxonMobil gets a high ESG score. Now, how is that? Well, it's all political. It's not really at all about the environment.
No.
Social is social justice, and we all know what that is. The diversity, equity, inclusion, so that everybody's got to have a quota based on your race, your gender, your sexuality. And then governance means that we have to control everything the way we want it governed or controlled.
And so how well you play ball with the woke agenda in all three of those categories determines your ESG score.
Which is why Elon Musk got a low score for Tesla, but ExxonMobil got a high score.
Yeah, big oil beats someone who speaks their mind and keeps freedom of speech on their social media
Even
platform.
though he makes electric cars.
Even though he makes electric cars, which supposedly was going to save the planet.
Yeah.
But so we've got to have a way to transact business for people who are willing to stand up for the truth and get out from under that whole scheme. And pirate money could be the answer to that.
It's an alternative system at the state level that preserves your liberty. It's constitutional. It's affordable. It works. It's proven technology. And we have a movement, transactionalgold.com or constitutionalcurrency.org. Both go to the same place to tell you what's happening in your state.
Okay, say those one more time.
Constitutionalcurrency.org or transactionalgold.com.
All right, so two websites there. And so Kevin, you said you're in 25 states. You're talking about bills that are in legislatures across America right now. What's going on there?
Well, we've got, it passed unanimously out of the Utah House. This legislation was brought forward, bipartisan. Ken Ivory led the charge there, and it passed unanimously. Right now, today, it's in the Senate, in the committee. We expect it'll be passed and signed out of the Senate. But that's not the only state. We've got a big active effort in Florida where Jimmy Patronis, who's soon to be the congressman in Matt Gaetz' seat, Jimmy Patronis says, I love this, and funded a study to determine if it's constitutional, if it's doable and workable, and that's going to come out. In Texas, we've got legislation in the House and the Senate. The governor said publicly that he would sign the bill once it's passed. Oklahoma, it passed unanimously out of a House committee. It's good. Kansas, yeah, I'm going to leave states out, but New Hampshire, North Dakota, it was turned down in committee, but the bill came up in the House on the floor and won 61-30. Wow. People love this. The bankers don't understand it. If you're a banker, call me. I'll explain how it's good to you. Because they said, we can't weigh gold at our branch and we can have tellers weighing silver. That's not how it works. Right. It's like a Venmo on your gold.
Yeah. And so lots of questions about the mechanics of it, but what I want to focus on is the freedom of this and what it could possibly do to create sort of a bulwark for freedom here in our country to push back. Because if the woke world globalists actually do get a hold of a digital dollar and we don't have an alternative, then we literally will be under their total control.
Yeah, it'd be like the mark of the beast. You can't buy or sell without the central bank digital currency. Yeah. And I don't know that it's the mark. Maybe it's a forerunner to the mark, right, and the scripture. But I do know this. I want to protect my family, and I want my state to help me do it.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about general economics for just a little bit. So how are we doing in America today? We've got 36 trillion plus in national debt. And we're racking up another trillion every several months, I think.
Right, 90 to 120 days.
It looks like Donald Trump's strategy on the economy is, number one, we're going to shift some of this cost to foreign nations with tariffs. Number two, we're going to cut wasteful spending.
Right.
And then deregulation as well. And then I suppose a tax cut so that there's people can save and invest more here domestically.
We got to keep the Trump tax cuts, maybe an additional, I don't know about that. Bottom line is the only way to solve the debt problem is you've got to grow your economy faster than you grow your government. He's working on that. And the regulatory cuts will be enormous. Every bureaucrat hired as a regulator, every one costs 138 private sector jobs per year, according to Auburn University. If we kept our regulations at the same level as we had in the 1940s, the average household income would be $330,000 a year, not $60,000
Oh
a year.
my gosh.
The numbers are enormous. And the World Bank did a study, and every 10% increase in regulations costs your economy 0.5% of growth every year. Well, Biden ramped up regulations so much that it cost the average family $50,000. If Trump cuts regulations, if he holds government spending at current levels or reduces it slightly, we'll be out of this mess before too long. That's the solution.
Those are some numbers I've never heard before. That is absolutely astounding.
Well, Economic War Room, if you want to go watch it.
All right.
Program.
So what is that, Economic War Room? That's
Economic War Room is our
show.
Blaze television show program.
Okay.
We drop every Thursday. You can watch it on blazetv.com. Or if you want to watch it free, go to economicwarroom.com and sign up to receive our free battle plans. Just click the link, add your name and your email, and every week we'll send you an email that says, this is what we're covering this week, and they'll get a free PDF document that explains it, or Pirate Money Radio on American Family Radio.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, 1 minute left, Kevin. What do you think about Doge?
I love Doge because we need efficiency in government. The government has gone far beyond what the Constitution says they should be doing at the federal level. Doge is going to pare them back. That is an important component of getting our debt under control and returning America to greatness.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, everybody that's listening, you got to pick up your copy of Pirate Money and watch the Economic War Room with Kevin Freeman. There's nobody out there like him. Expert, great friend, loves the Lord. Thanks for coming on Truth and Liberty.
Thank you.